My ex-boyfriend is a famous househusband, was a great cook and did all the housework. On the outside, he was an unsinkable iceberg that couldn't even sink, but on the inside, he was a whiner crybaby. The first foot was angry with me trembling, put down harsh words said to break up. The second foot drunk squatting in front of the house, crying that his wife disappeared. I want his wife to hold a rose-weaving romantic dream, chase to see rose romantic meaning endless, romantic way not rest. Be sure to like, comment, forward attention, open the small bell, beautiful drama on time to embrace. My boyfriend seems to be made of water and sheds tears at the drop of a hat. But he's obviously a strong man close to 6'5" with a broad spine to boot. Eyed as I looked at my boyfriend who was gambling and shedding tears in the kitchen, obviously the image of a cold elite. He hilariously wore a red plaid apron and stood in front of the cookware that was humming along, hadn't had time to take off his suit. When he got back from work at the office, and was wearing a white cashmere turtleneck under his ink blue jacket, the collar turned down at the knot of his throat, and up at the corner of his smooth, stern jaw. Further up, a single tear still hung brightly on the bridge of his nose, his eyes were wet and glistening, his eyelashes dampened into wisps, and he looked like he'd been bullied. I shuffled over to put my arm around his waist and he pushed my hand away, went to hug him again in a deadpan manner. And he once again took my hand away. I let out a disgruntled whimper and reclung to his waist, my face pressed against his spine. The force with which he pushed my hand away for the third time had been gentle as if caressing, crybaby, but soothing. He opened his mouth, his voice still tinged with lingering sobs. Can you be serious? Can you take my words seriously? When I left the house this morning? Did I tell you that breakfast was on the table and that I would order takeout for lunch? You never take my words seriously. I stayed up all night last night catching up on my manuscript, slept in until noon and then had to get up and continue working, and now. He looked at his watch. It's 8 o'clock, you've just had your first meal of the day, how can your stomach stand it? Just now, I called you to eat, but you still think I'm annoying, staring at your computer all day long, ignoring me. He seemed to be too aggravated to stand it, and as he said that, he let out a huff and let out a small crying hiccup, and even my hand holding his waist shook a little, hung on to his back like a wombat and apologized sullenly. Baby's not mad at me. Okay, it's just that the editor was in too much of a hurry, and I wasn't in a hurry to turn in the manuscript, so I didn't have time to eat. Good boy, don't cry. Later, in the future, 3 meals a day must eat on time, a minute early, a minute late or not. How? I drilled in from his raised arm, solidly pressed into his arms, raised his hand to wipe his face still with tears. Baby, do not cry. Crying, my heart is broken. He brushed his face away. The water in the pot boil. He opened the lid and dropped a handful of vegetable leaves into it as if he was angry. I peeked over my head to see the lone noodle and leaf in the pot and rubbed up against him again. I want barbecue pork noodles. Ignored me. Only clear noodles, you can have them or not. But in the end, the noodles were not only covered with 3 thick slices of barbecued pork, but also with my favorite soft-boiled egg. After a whole day of not eating, the consequence of eating a big bowl of noodles was that my stomach started to slacken off, and the wee hours of the morning, I was surprised to wake up hard with a spasm and pain coming from my stomach. There seemed to be a sharp red-hot iron needle piercing back and forth in my stomach. And within only a few minutes, I was in a cold sweat from the pain. The alarm clock beside my bed read 3 o'clock sharp. I struggled to get up, and the rustling movement woke up my boyfriend, sat up with his hand propped up and quickly turned on the bedside nightlight. Stomach ache again. I curled up and barely nodded at him. Get out of bed, turn on the light, get the medicine. Pour water. He gently fed me the medicine and rinsed me out of the hot water bag, and sat up in bed again, carefully holding me in his arms and gently rubbing his hands back and forth over my stomach. The pain wasn't so bad anymore, and he wrapped his long arms and legs around me, the sound of his heavy heartbeat coming from behind him. Suddenly, my neck went cold as 2 warm droplets of water snapped onto my neck, wobbling down my shoulder blades and pooling in my collarbone. I turned back to him and he had me buried dead in the back of my neck, ducking and refusing to let me see his face, his body already shaking slightly out of control from the constant sobbing. I turned my head hard and opened my arms around his neck, gently touching the side of his salty face with my lips instead of my fingers. His tears flowed more and more violently, wetting a few strands of his hair and sticking to his forehead in a messy fashion. I gently teased him. Why are you crying again, little crybaby? I'm the one in pain, not you. I'm not even crying. Why are you crying? Even though he was crying with great devotion and sadness, he didn't forget to rub and press my stomach. His heat was constantly conducted into my body from his palms, his tightly pressed back, and his warm tears, like a burning spring. No more crying. How about a kiss? I went for his lips, rubbing them tenderly. With teardrops still hanging pitifully on his face, he frowned and closed his eyes to be kissed by me, and the aggravated sobbing in his nostrils slowly turned into a comfortable M sound. A small, disease-free world was isolated inside the futon. The heartbeats of the two almost melted into a sticky glue, gurgling and bubbling against each other. Hurt too? He whimpered in a small voice against me. He took my hand and put it over his heart. It hurts here. The next day he took time off from work and took me to see a reputable old Chinese doctor. The old Chinese doctor shook his head and sighed when he took my pulse, saying how could a young man's body be so weak. Then he wrote a long list of medicines for us to pick up, and advised me not to eat spicy food, not to eat ice, not to drink alcohol, not to eat stimulating greasy food, and most importantly to eat on time. Throughout the examination, my boyfriend was even more nervous than I was, and when the Chinese medicine practitioner said one sentence, he jotted it down in his memo. Usually proud and confident man, in a variety of high-end occasions, glittering talking to the answer, but at this time to the Chinese medicine practitioner's admonition to answer, do not dare to refute a word. The way back to the point of work, the car on the highway is quite a lot, driving and stopping. Dusk is overlapping the twilight, the car stereo gently playing the jazz music. My boyfriend, accompanied by the music, lectured me tirelessly. Wake up in the morning, the porridge is warm in the rice cooker, go and get a bowl to drink. Don't ever forget it again. Will urge you every day from now on. His fingers were long and slender with well-defined knuckles, clasping my 10 fingers. Ice drinks cannot drink the refrigerator, go back and empty, give them next door. You recently is a little bit cannot touch. His thin lips opened and closed, with a perfect lip line and a tantalizing arc. After this manuscript is handed in, take a good rest for a while. And don't rush to write the next one right away. Take good care of your work and rest in your body. Don't go out to get together in the evening recently. Just stay at home. I'll make you some soup when I get home. Just drink soup tonight. Drink creamy clam chowder or chicken noodle soup. Seeing me looking at him out of his mind, he didn't get angry, but just childishly skimmed his mouth and pinched the palm of my hand. Why do you always ignore me? Do you not love me anymore? He was waiting for me to deny it in a hurry and then say love him. Seeing that I didn't reply to him, he looked aggravated, but stalking his neck, he didn't know whether he was saying it to me or consoling himself. It doesn't matter. In fact, I am really a sweet-mouthed person. After my parents divorced and started their own families, I was left alone to live with my grandmother. You don't have a sweet mouth and a thick skin, there is no way to survive and pull yourself up to adulthood. After experiencing cold stares, sarcasm, and being treated as a burden to be pushed around by each other, one of the first things I learned from life was to please, avoid, and disguise. After working day and night to get into graduate school at Ivy League, I struggled to find a part-time job to earn a living wage under the weight of my studies. The busiest times, I had to intern at a company during the day, tutor at night, and work part-time online jobs in the middle of the night. When I was so busy, I couldn't eat in time, and I starved myself with one meal or another, in order to save money and time. And such being me, my greatest luck seemed to go to meeting my boyfriend. I met him at a friend's party, and he asked a circle of people for my WeChat that night. Was the only son of a middle-class family and never lacked money, is very smart, is a top 2 master's degree in finance, in the financial company internship. The only thing is just an internship, a month of internship salary to pay the tax is higher than my salary, is always cold. The first date, the figure of tall and straight, is facing my side of the face with cold eyes, lips pursed. Silent transmission will be rejected in 1,000 miles away from the indifference. But when he saw me, his eyes became soft for a moment, rolling and thick. After so many years of making a living, I immediately gained a signal. This man liked me. Unconditionally like me from the first sight, liked to set aside self-respect, red-faced face to face the jokes of friends, no matter how to get my WeChat, liked me enough to approach me carefully, not daring to commit any minefields, until we had been dating for 6 months, and then stammered and asked me if I wanted to move in with him, liked to the point that when he looked at me, his love just gurgled out from every corner of his body, wrapping my entire being cocoon-like. Can cook. I do housework well too. Your dormitory is too far away from your flat, so, want to consider moving over, and live with me. Under my surprised gaze, his ears started to blush from the tips, the light blush slowly penetrated his skin and crawled up his face. He's so nervous he's smoking. Indulging in the male sex wasn't doing me any favors, yet snuggled up against each other on the soft couch of his house. I was still shamefully aroused, opened my arms to him, and he immediately rubbed up against me and glued himself into my embrace, because his eyes seemed like hooks, his hair was soft and humming like a big purring cat, pestering me for petting, tenderly. I lifted his face and moved over to take his lips, the moment his skin pressed against each other, his scalding hot breath immediately smoked into me, wrapped my arms around him as if I were holding a large lion that was limp and pouting, turning out its belly and waiting for me to touch it. I agreed to live with him. He took good care of me, seeing me finish tutoring at 9 o'clock at night, sleepy on the bus back to school until my head clicked straight and I accidentally hit the bus window pane. He would rub my head painfully and then take me into his arms so that I could fall asleep resting on his pecs, seeing me stay up late every night thinking about the content I was going to give to my editor, typing it up, and eventually falling asleep in front of my computer screen. He would gently put his arms around me and settle me into bed, carefully tucking me in. When the content I wrote was recognized by my editor and I chose to write full-time after 100 deliberations, he was the first to stand up for me and say, "Congratulations, I've got your back. How could I not love someone like that? And he's so cute," and cries, usually a proper person, while mumbling wife called low and loving, while whimpering and howling, sobbing and crying my back my face was soft and my eyes were crystal clear from the tears, but he refused to relax his movements, leaving me to gasp for breath as I pressed against the strong arm he had imprisoned around my waist, asked me, "Do you love me?" The corners of his eyes were red, and he pressed himself against me without a moment's slackening of his strength, hadn't recovered from the moment, and with a sobbing tone in his voice he asked me, "Honey, do you love me?" At that time, I coaxed him with gentle words, "Yes, I love you so much." Only then did he let go of his tightly bitten lower lip, and shyness and redness rose on his face. It was so cute, but there's more to life than just eye-rolling moving episodes. There's also a whole lot more to it. Living together for a long time, we began to have conflicts. The main contradiction is that I can't take care of my stomach while I have stomach problems, and my routine is chaotic. He couldn't stand to see me grunting, tossing, and turning all night, and then having to continue to catch up on work the next day, so he quarreled with me. Quarrel also cannot say, is that he kept nagging, and I, because he is too handsome, so the legs than soft heart, really cannot afford to be angry, can only obediently listen to the training. Read himself half a day, because I do not quarrel with him, more angry, ignore me. He threw the rag in his hand into the sink, his voice slightly too high, and began to shake slightly. Seeing his immediate aggravation, I made a split-second decision and rushed over and leapt up, hanging on to his neck. He held me firmly in place. "Don't argue with you. It's not because you're so handsome and beautiful and seductive. I can't even look at your face without getting angry," said stiffly after a while. "Then close your eyes and argue with me." Both of them were silent, and after a while, they puffed out a laugh together. "Wife, don't ignore me." He took a deep breath between my neck and lifted me high in the air with one hand on my ass and one hand on my back. "Whatever you do, don't ignore me." He finally let out a long sigh and buried himself in my arms. "You'll go crazy if you ignore me." Stroked his hair and smoothed him down, thinking to myself, I don't know about going crazy, but crying my eyes out is a real possibility. When I got home from the doctor's appointment, Grandma called me and asked me if the doctor had finished. What did the doctor say? I truthfully told my grandmother what the old Chinese doctor said. Grandma sighed on the other end of the phone. "I say you usually listen to Fan more. He told you how to do what you do, and do not let people worry all day long." I listened to it as not convinced. "Grandma, you are too biased. In the end I am your own granddaughter, or he is your own grandson." How you did not listen to anything. This heart is biased on the edge of the it. Grandma heard me pampered, laughed straight. "You only little Fan can control you." After hanging up the phone, my cell phone ding dong into a few WeChat, open to see, is the boyfriend's brother Gavin, calling sister-in-law. Fanshin isn't answering his phone. And he's not answering his WeChat. Am looking for him for something urgent. Fanshin with you. I replied to the message and put down my cell phone to call my boyfriend. Poked his head out from the balcony, plastic gloves on his hands and a pink, bow-tied wet dress. Had no doubt that there were other intimate garments of mine soaking in the sink. "Gavin's looking for you. Where's your cell phone?" "I think it's on the dining room table. Wifey will get it for me." His cell phone was indeed buzzing on the dining room table. I ran over and put it to his ear. While he was scrubbing the clothes in his hands, he listened to the call. Didn't know what was said on the other end of the line. His brows slowly furrowed and his hands slowed down, held the phone up for him, bored, and went to play with his earlobe and the collar of his shirt, When I got close enough, I could smell the faint scent emanating from him. I sniffed carefully. Not the smell of body-washed shampoo or laundry detergent as if it was seeping out of his skin and flesh, slowly filling the entire space where he was. Just smelling it gave one a feeling of peace of mind, comfort, and indulgence. What exactly is that smell? In order to discern, I leaned in close to him and took a deep breath. There was no sound overhead. My boyfriend spoke again after a long interval, his voice raspy. Haha, okay, they'll be right there. The next second, he wrapped his arms around me. The gloves he was holding had been removed at some point and were now resting comfortably on the wall of the laundry sink, dripping downward. I turned back again and he had pressed down, kissing me indiscriminately and taking me in his arms and rubbing me hard, pressed against the side of my face. What are you sniffing at me for? Are you upset about ignoring me on the phone? What was all this about? I was shocked by his brazenness, stuttered. No, just that. What is that you smell? I smelled. Oh, he raised his eyebrows. You smelled half a day. Cannot smell what flavor? That is not the flavor of the daily toiletries we use. I usually do not have the habit of spraying perfume. This flavor and rare very attractive to you. According to scientific research, girls will be attracted to their boyfriend's pheromones, thus creating the illusion of smelling a unique body odor on the boy. After smelling these smells, it can stimulate the respiratory center, speed up breathing, and eventually cause excitement to arise, and a large amount of dopamine will cause special nerve impulses. But baby, my boss called me for something. There's a problem with one of the modeling factors. Apologized and gave me another loud kiss on the lips, so I have to go out now. I'll fulfill you tonight. I've made soup in a pot. Drink it when you're hungry. No, drink it when it's time. No, not drinking it. Wait for me to come home. Got it. Wait for me. The night until the early morning. He did not have time to rush back. At first it was that there was content to be recalculated that had to be rushed out tonight, so he had to go home later. Then it was that the work was almost over, and the boss was overjoyed and dragged all the employees who worked overtime to have a midnight snack together, so the homecoming was delayed again. WeChat, he complained to me that work is too late, do not want to eat late night snacks, just want to go home and I cuddle with sleep, but also sweetly sent the cute emoticon of crying, put down my cell phone and nestled into the quilt, rolling back and forth twice, usually, even if it is a 2-meter bed. He is also hard to two people together to squeeze in the small corner of the bed, hand clasped hand, feet wrapped feet, hard to wrap me, cannot breathe. Rarely is he not there. The bed is empty. I was so comfortable that I stretched my limbs and slowly fell asleep, then was arched awake. A hot body was pressing against my back, and I shivered as I woke up to find myself once again sleeping on the edge of the bed, with no way back except to rely more on the man behind me, was kneading my limbs and branding kiss after kiss down my spine. Sleeping. I yell at him, he sees that I'm awake and comes to pester me even more without a care in the world, a slight hint of alcohol emanating from his body. Also sleep. I also obediently sleep. Wife, turn around and hold me to sleep. He grunted and pampered. Once I had turned around, he was quiet for a while and started moving his hands again in an unfaithful manner, pushed his arching head away and his eyebrows immediately went down and his mouth pouted as if he had been wronged in some big way. Before I could say anything else, hot teardrops immediately rolled down from the corners of his eyes. I pushed him and he stiffened without moving, but his raised face was a little too sad. The corners of his eyes were red and sixfold. Wife, push me, wife. I hurriedly took him back into my arms. No more crying, no more crying. I didn't mean to. I shouldn't have pushed the baby. His voice tightened and he cried with a tremor. Then you hold me. Do not push me away again. Okay, okay. I took the initiative and moved over and kissed his forehead. Hugs, hugs, and kisses, so stop crying, huh? He looked at me with tears in his eyes and moved over slowly like a little bug, then sniffled and said in an airy voice in my ear, honey, I'm not sad anymore. Gavin says it takes longer to drink. He opened his doggy eyes, which were still filled with tears, and had already begun to do it. His muscles showed smooth lines like mountains stacked up between movements. I really can't say no to this crying handsome face and perfect body. So the back pain was on Gavin's head. When I got up in the morning, he was already busy in the kitchen again. I walked over to him barefoot to stick it to him and he nagged me to put my slippers on. On my way to put on the slippers, I came across a scale and stopped to weigh myself again. Lost a pound. He looked at the number on the scale and didn't look too good, but at least 1 pound of weight loss was still within his acceptable range, so he didn't hold on to it any longer, but just couldn't wait to feed me everything at the dinner table. He seemed to have some kind of obsession with my weight and felt very guilty about my weight dropping after falling in love with him. Countless times he told me, too skinny, eat more. Countless times he got mad at me for not eating much, however, that was the time when I first gave up my job and chose to write full-time. The fact that I couldn't immediately make a financial profit made me extremely anxious about money, which I had always worried about since I was a child. Especially during the time when I was rushing and waiting for the editor to review my manuscript, I couldn't eat anything. I threw up everything I ate, and my weight was dropping by the pound every day. Was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan, and the first thing he did when he came home every day was to go to the kitchen to study the food and then feed me. He let me eat. I cannot eat anything. He was anxious to cry. Tears like a string of beads down. He broke up with me the hardest time. I still remember the scene of that day. Was typing away on the keyboard, afraid of missing a rare burst of inspiration. However, he was chanting non-stop, trying to feed me. Finally, stuck on the shaping of a key character thread, I was irritated beyond belief by the persistent nagging and shot up, "All right? I'll eat when I wanted, stop pushing me." A burly man of 18.5 stood frozen in the living room, blindsided by my sudden outburst, sat down and tapped out a few more words. But my already interrupted train of thought could no longer be extended smoothly. After writing 2 more words, I was once again at an impasse. This is so annoying. I sighed heavily and picked up my school bag that was on the side, throwing my computer charging cables and phone in with a flourish, quickly zipping it up and heading for the house. He finally moved. "Where are you going?" I didn't look back. "Stay out of it." Was about to say something else when the door was already closed behind me. A bang, the door panel separates me and him in 2 spaces. Hesitated in the doorway for a second, throwing off my stride and walking away. I navigated a sufficiently out of the way cafe, one east and one west of where I live, and took a cab out the door. By the time I finished my manuscript, it was late at night. I turned on my cell phone, which had been turned off when I arrived at the store, and it immediately began to ring like a series of cannons in my hand. More than 100 missed phone calls, countless text messages and WeChat messages came in one after another, all from him. When I clicked on WeChat, it was a blank slate asking me where I was, asking me what I was doing, asking me what I was angry about, ask me when I'm coming home, ask me if I want to pick up, ask me when to pick up, ask me if I want to go out to eat something at night, ask me if I have written something, apologize for disturbing me, say that I am very regretful and guilty, I should not disturb me, I hope I will not be angry again, said that the house is empty, he has been distracted all afternoon, cannot do anything, just think I will not be where something happened, is not safe, he said he just wanted to see me quickly. He begged me not to ignore him, and asked me to give him a peace message. In addition to his message, there is also my girlfriends when I was studying invited me to have dinner with me tonight. After hesitating for a long time, I agreed to my best friend, open the chat box with my boyfriend. I typed and deleted in the dialog box, deleted and typed, immediately noticed my movement. And a few more tweets popped up. Baby already written, where's the baby, I'll pick you up. I hesitated and replied, I'm eating out with my girlfriends tonight, I won't be home for dinner. He immediately said, what's for dinner, where are you eating? Can you bring me along? I replied, it's not convenient for a group of girls and you're a big man. Where? I'll pick you up when I'm done. No. I'll just take a taxi. I packed my things and went to the appointment, and my girlfriends met me at a tavern on a busy street. The tavern was a popular Netflix spot, so the two of us picked a secluded spot in the corner and sat down. Drink. My best friend asked me with the wine list. Instinctively, I remembered my boyfriend's advice for me not to drink, it burns my stomach. At the very least, eat something to pad my stomach before drinking or something like that. The words of refusal circled around the tip of my tongue a few times before I swallowed them back. Drink. A little bit of food and 2 glasses of draft beer were brought up. The two of us sipped at each other, 2 sips down, and both sighed. The screen of my cell phone lit up, and the WeChat icon popped up on the desktop. Stared at my phone for a while and flipped it over, and my best friend let out a soft laugh. A fight? I nodded and shook my head, not really, and my best friend looked at me in a state of disorientation and didn't ask me any more. The topic changed and talked about herself. I've had a falling out with the one in my house. I know her boyfriend. We had dinner together before. He is a very pure college student. Girlfriend has been working. The age difference between the two is not too small, 3 years. Obviously is a younger brother, but mannerisms and behavior are very sophisticated, and the girlfriend's very care. The earth a little said, when looking at her eyes inside can flow out of the honey. You can argue with him too. I asked my best friend with wide eyes. Well, like you, it's not really an argument. It's just a disagreement. Think he is very young. There are a lot of girls of the same age around him. They are the group of people who have something in common, and I. My girlfriend snorted. I don't know what kind of emotion to face this matter, thinking that he and I together may just be on the right track, he may be more suitable for more lively girls and so on. It's hard to be in the heart. I thought about it and advised her sternly, but he chose you. Since he chose to stay by your side, then you must be worthy of him. It's not up to you alone to decide whether you're suitable or not. It's up to the two of you together, so it's better not to get carried away. My girlfriend picked up a peanut rice and ate it slowly, asking me, then what are you afraid of? Originally you couldn't talk to me without leaving that person in 3 sentences. Now you've been sitting here for half an hour, preoccupied, not saying anything. Something wrong? I took a big gulp of beer and smiled bitterly. What's the big deal? What's there to be angry about? An afternoon had passed, and my anger had long since subsided, advising me to eat or whatever. I'm not stupid. I know it's care. It's love. I was just scared. I am a child growing up in a family with divorced parents, growing up wild, minding my own business so that I can shamelessly grab a meal. When I encountered problems and difficulties, I just broke my teeth and swallowed them in my stomach. When I was seriously injured, I would only hide myself and lick my wounds. Like a hedgehog, the sharp thorns on his back top up. The power is even more meager and small, but also can be hard to protect themselves. In the face of life, playfulness, sweet words, gags is my protective color. My boyfriend, on the other hand, is using every ounce of his strength to try to break me out of my shell, and he's close to succeeding. Instead of feeling like my invulnerable self, I'm starting to have weaknesses and I'm starting to lose my temper uncontrollably. This is not a good thing for me. Instead of being angry at him, I was angry at myself. It's not that I don't have faith in him, it's that I don't have faith in myself. Afraid that I won't be able to keep his love, afraid that if I let go, I'll never be able to stand or trust on my own again. Why? Best friend clinked glasses with me, scared because his love is too much. Why don't you try and open your heart a little more? To trust him, to rely on him more, to talk to him directly about your worries. I think it will be a better way than running away. The thick guilt in my heart for my boyfriend was already drowning me, and I was already a little fidgety. Why? Girlfriend waved her hand generously. Go on, go and reunite with your boyfriend. I'm going to stay a little longer and go back too. You be safe. Cast a grateful look at my bestie, slung my backpack over my shoulder and quickly got up to leave. Wanted to see him, wanted to hug him, kiss him, and tell him I was sorry. Got out of the cab and made a mad dash for home. Panting, I opened the door to my house to find it pitch black, with only a faint flickering firelight on the couch. Stood in the doorway, panting heavily, and fumbled to turn on the living room light. Snap, the room was suddenly bright, and I saw my boyfriend sitting on the couch, a cigarette slung in his hand and a somber frown on his face. His face was expressionless as he looked straight at me standing in the doorway. I walked quickly inside, casually putting my bag down, and tried to go and take his hand and talk to him. Doesn't let go of my hand when I take it, but he doesn't squeeze it as tightly as he used to have been drinking. A little bit, Ethan. Today is really good for. He raised his hand to interrupt me before I could finish my sentence. His eyes slightly red, his face surged with helplessness, anger. I every day at home thinking to give you stomach 1,000 instructions to let you pay good attention, not to drink. The result is that you do not take it seriously at all. Go out and drink. Do you feel that I am so impatient with you that you want to leave? Did I tell you not to keep quiet or not to communicate? He flashed the screen of his cell phone to show me. I called you 105 times today, and not one of them was answered. Sent you countless WeChat messages, and as a result you just returned a few, 2 in the middle. I anxiously clarified I didn't do it on purpose. I never found you annoying in my heart. He interrupted me for the second time, his voice implacable. All day today, I was at home, fidgeting, not daring to go anywhere, thinking about when you are demoralized home. Cannot find I have to be anxious. And what happened to you? Did you never know to think about my mood? He pinched the bridge of his nose and closed his eyes. His voice was like a sheathed blade, sticking into my heart. I really don't know what you want to do. I think we might as well calm down a little bit is better. Like a dream, I sat on the couch and watched him walk away as soon as he grabbed his electronic devices from the house and put his bag on his back. I wanted to ask him where he was going so late. I wanted to ask him why. Did he think I was hopeless? I wanted to rush up to him and hold him back and say I'm sorry. But my lips opened and closed and not a word came out. It wasn't until the door was slammed shut and I was the only one left in the house that I suddenly lost my strength and slumped backward, slamming myself into the couch. After a long time, the Walking Dead went to wash and rest. The neatly stacked pots and pans in the kitchen, his hand washed and hung clothes on the balcony. The computer shelves had put up in the den, and the boxes of fruit in the refrigerator, washed, loaded, and sorted and labeled with notes. were all reminders of his presence. Picked up my cell phone and pressed the light. Found his dialogue box, and typed back and forth, eventually turned the screen off. Forget it, it's good to be apart, it's hard to be with someone like me. In real life, there are not so many big things that will shatter the three views of life and death. Couples wear out their feelings for each other in petty squabbles, and him too, that's all. My best friend was completely silent when she heard about it, sat in the corner of the tavern, ordered the same food and beer and sipped on each other's drinks. After sitting for a long time, she took out her cell phone and opened the software. Report your ID number to me. Reported to her. She quickly sent over a screenshot, is to a well-known domestic tourist city air ticket screenshot. The departure time is the next morning, and now it is nearly early in the morning. She made a decision. Now go home and pack your things, and we'll leave tomorrow. I've got my annual vacation, and you're done with your manuscript, so you can go out and have a good time. So we hastily packed our bags and went to a beautiful seaside town, ate at the seafood night market, rode electric bicycles along the mountainous highway of the island, learned surfing and snorkeling, did a very special spa on the island, and then lay on the beach at night and counted the stars. The stars were bright and plentiful, spreading all over the night sky. Almost subconsciously went to look for the brightest one, because one night he had excitedly wrapped his arms around me and was going to teach me to look at the stars. Said that the brightest white star in the west, at all times, was Vega, and that not far to his side there was always Altair watching over it, looking across the Milky Way from her. No matter how the stars rose and fell, how the earth turned, Altair always watched over Vega, just as he would always watch over me. I sit cross-legged on the floating window and snuggle lazily into his arms. I tilted my head up and pinched his nose to tease him. Even at such a death-defying angle, he manages to appear compulsively handsome. Why do you like me? I asked him curiously. Why do you have to have me? He thought seriously for a moment and said slowly, like you because you deserve to like, more than I can say. Why the sky is blue, why salt is salty, sugar is sweet, why there are 4 seasons in the world, who delineated them, why the fish swim in the water and cannot walk on the shore, why people live on land rather than live in the sea, just like it. I feel that this life is you no matter what, so there is no other reason. It can only be you, no one else. He wrinkled his nose, quite pleased with himself for this explanation, and such a good one was lost to me. Still thinking about him, my best friend's voice pulled me back from my memories. Well, I despaired, realizing that I still missed him a lot. He must have been so disappointed in me. That's why. My best friend took my hand and squeezed it hard. Then go get him back, go prove that you've changed. So we set off with a bang, and again, in the dead of night, quietly returned to the city where we lived. When I returned to my empty home, I flicked on the lights and the room was silent. Before I could pack my bags, there was a knock at the door. I looked through the cat's eye, and saw my daydreaming boyfriend squatting at the door, burying his head in his knees and crying, as if he had suffered all the grievances under the sky. Wife, oh, wife. His head was all sweaty and wet from crying mixed with his tears. Hadn't reacted yet, and with my hand on the doorknob, I actually froze in place. Seeing that I ignored him, he bawled, his voice trembling, I want my wife, ahoo, I want my wife. As soon as I opened the door to the room, he leapt in like a wild animal, familiarly seeking my lips and tongue, fishing for my hand to put on his waist, grunting, wife, hold me. Wife, want to hold. The man who had slammed the door a week ago was now completely different again, hugging me and not letting go. The moment the door closed, he turned back around and pinned me to the door panel with a vengeance. After a while, he let go of me, and I could already feel the stinging pain on my lips, realizing that under his sharp teeth, my swollen lips were a foregone conclusion. So long without a word, and now in the middle of the night to run to my door to crying after the kiss. Me so savagely, obviously before the meeting, I thought about how I should be pampered and beg for peace in a low voice, but after the meeting, the aggression that I had tried to suppress in my heart came pouring out. He leaned down to grind me, a tall and big man, condescendingly trying to pack himself into my arms. Broken trill escaped from his throat as he desperately rubbed against my shoulder, mumbling wifey wifey, pushed his shoulders away as hard as I could. He looked incredulously at my hand, pushing him back, and in the next second bawled, like a lion pushed back by his mate's cruelty. He let out a loud, snotty cry and wrapped his arms and legs around me, yelped, unable to bear his weight, and took a few consecutive steps backward before I managed to stabilize myself. Why did you push me away? Why did you push me away, wife? Don't you want me? Wife, don't ignore me. Sad. He took my hand and put it on his heart, whimpering, I hurt, wife, hold me. Strong smell of alcohol. I knew there was no way to reason with a drunk, so I had to put him to bed first. Be good, go to sleep first, okay? If you don't sleep, you'll have a hard time tomorrow, so be obedient, okay? He let out a loud sob, and then came to kiss me, against his salty face. Through the tears, the heat of his cheeks seemed to melt me. Coaxed him, then I'll rest with you, go ahead? He finally quieted down, whimpering and looking at me with a fuzzy blur over his pack of tears. I took him by the hand and led him into the bedroom. He sat obediently on the edge of the bed and unfolded his arms for me to remove his jacket, turned my head to hang up the jacket, and just as I turned around, he tugged on his arm. I showed him the clothes in my hand. Hanging clothes? Don't hang your clothes, they're bad. He shook his head dead, then ripped the clothes out of my hand and threw them to the floor. When my hand was free, he nestled his own into it and interlocked his fingers. Hang me, good wifey, hang me. He winked at me and tugged me towards him. The weight of the two men made the bed frame creak with the weight of the bed. Hey, forget it, I'll settle this messy score tomorrow. When I woke up the next morning, my boyfriend was sitting on the edge of the bed. The lines of his lean arms extended all the way under the covers, still interlocked with my 10 fingers. The first time I woke up, his whole body stiffened for a split second, his face still hard and stubborn as he refused to look back at me, but his grip on my hand tightened. I slowly sat up and tried to release it from his grasp. Sober. Didn't you want to break up? Didn't you just throw your face in the air and leave, not caring about me or ignoring me? He showed his teeth like a wild animal. His eyes began to redden again, and he was so angry that he was trembling. Break up, you line. Who broke up with you? Wasn't it you who said to calm down a bit? Calm down, how is break up? He huffed and puffed and yelled at me. Well, even if you break up, sia. Gua, you cannot. Mouth every day said love me. Heart than steel plate is still hard. When I said I wanted to break up, you didn't say a word to me? I said to break up, you just buy a plane ticket and go away. I just want you to coax me. I always feel that I'm your dog that comes when you want me to come and go when you want me to go. When you smile, I'll do anything you want. When you don't take good care of yourself, it hurts me so much. He gritted his teeth viciously. I thought you were gone, never to return again. Good, you left without telling me, and you didn't say anything when you came back. I hadn't been squatting under your house every day. I wouldn't have known when you were coming back. Was not tough for more than 2 seconds, but started to redden his eyes again. Can you stop bullying me all the time? You always bully me, seeing me cry, seeing me in a sorry state. Does it make you feel good in your heart? You don't really love me at all, you only know how to bully me. I was heartbroken. I hurriedly went to hug him and coaxed him. How could I not stay? I am not afraid that you will find me annoying and have had enough of me. Siagwagwa. You know you never believe. I know you're always afraid of being abandoned, but I love you, and that's not a saying. Leaving you, it's like my heart won't beat. I can't do anything, and you're the only thing in my heart and mind every day. He looked at me with intense concentration and passion. I love you. It's never a joke. Since then, I don't say I love you as much as I did before. His love was heavy, and it wouldn't be fair to him if he couldn't respond formally with his heart. After weighing himself, he went back to his busy schedule and went to the kitchen to figure out a new dish. When the heat was turned on at home, my editor called to tell me that my book had passed the first review and that I could meet with him to talk about it. The editor also said that a company was very interested in my novel and wanted to meet with me to discuss the specifics of the outline and the movie and television production. While the editor was talking to me, my boyfriend's voice came from behind, calling me his wife. His voice was so gentle and loving that it made my ears soft. The editor's voice pauses for a moment, then clears his throat twice. He used the speed of rap to quickly make an appointment for the time and place of the meeting, as well as the information to be brought, leaving a sentence of do not disturb, and hurriedly hung up the phone. Speechless, I turned my head to look at the culprit. To as if nothing had happened, my boyfriend slimily fed me the soy milk he had just made. Good boy, open your mouth. I dutifully took 2 sips and didn't want any more. Dodging the 3rd spoon he reached for, didn't force me to drink any more, and urged me to go and get dressed, saying he wanted to take me to my editor before he went to work. The bag by the door had already loaded me with a heating pad, and on the rack of clothes by the door had hung up the heavy jacket I'd be wearing today. When I arrived at my destination, I was ready to get off. He took my hand, came up and gave me a long kiss. Oh, lipstick spent. I pushed him back, pushing my face away as hard as I could. The thought of not seeing my wife for a long time makes me feel sad. My wife let me have a kiss, he said lowly, leaning down. I'll buy you another lipstick. After half a day of dilly-dallying, he finally let go. Lingeringly eyed me out of the car and watched me leave. The second before I entered the cafe, I looked back at him. He closed the window and restarted the car. Another cold working elite. Now that he's officially working, he's showing more and more depth and less expression on the outside. His long-term calculations had given him a lingering, unmoving air even in his daily life. His reputation as an iceberg spreads further and further, but no one can see that when he comes home, he is a pampered man. And since he learned that his tears were more of a compromise than words, and realized that I was really a softie, he had successfully evolved into a sniveling pamperer. Cries a lot, but I can't do anything about his tears. Even when he cried, I was a bit at a loss for words, no matter what the loss of power and humiliation of the treaty signed. As if by siren compulsion, fascinated by the King of Zhou. When I got home in the evening, the two of us hunkered down on the couch to watch TV, and I sat in an unfaithful position, rolling around and eventually choosing to lie comfortably on his lap and play with my phone. His body radiates a steady stream of heat. I touched his stomach, which always felt thicker than before, pinched his flesh. Have you gained weight? He tensed up. No? I said no, and went back to playing with my cell phone. My boyfriend was clearly distracted. I got up to go to the restroom and came back to see him standing on the scale. Went over to him and he nervously covered up the numbers on it. When I got up the next morning, the bedding around me had been cold for a while. I went out sleepily, just in time to see him come back sweating. He'd gone for a morning jog. When he came back from work in the evening, he cleaned up the house, carried his bag to the gym, and came back in the middle of the night, after a few days. Of this, I finally responded and asked him, what are you doing? At that time we were having dinner on a boat on the lake, and he was picking and choosing the food on the table, eating it one by one. Finally understand the feeling of hatred he felt when he watched me eat. Watching him pitifully eat one by one, I feel very bad. He slanted a glance at me. This is the only thing that attracts you to me. You think I'm fat, but you don't allow me to control it and keep it under control. I laughed a couple of times, insecure. He looked at me and didn't say anything. The corners of his mouth had begun to turn down, a sign of aggravation. I coughed and coughed half-heartedly. Took out a small ring box from my purse and slowly pushed it over. Then, do you want to marry me? Will it make you feel safer? My boyfriend is a crybaby. I bought a couple's dress on the internet, and when it arrived, I found out it was a parent-child dress, so I cried. He has grown wisdom tooth pain, crying. I feel like I'm not man enough to cry because I'm in pain, so I cry, because I don't eat to cry, because I have a stomach ache. Cried. My carefully planned proposal ceremony, wearing a white suit with black lining that I had specified for him to wear, wearing a delicate slicked back hair, buried in my white cocktail dress, crying into a small tear. And knowing that it was outside in a restaurant, he didn't cry out, he just wept silently and huffed every now and then. Was afraid that he was going to dry up, so I quickly coaxed him. Are you not going to put the ring on? You don't like it? What kind of ring do you like? It'll take you to change it? He quickly looked up to grab the ring, his eyebrows twisted into twists on his face, snot and tears all over his face. I want this one. What's given to me is mine. I don't want to change it. I took out the ring. Wipe your tears and put the ring on for me. So with tears in his eyes, he tenderly and urgently put the ring into my fingers, lifted my hand, gently fell a kiss on the back of the hand, called me wife.